River City Girls 2 is the bigger, badder, and bolder sequel to the first game. And while it may not win over people who didn't enjoy it, this is a very solid and entertaining follow-up with some fantastic music, which, of course, you're not listening to right now. River City Girls 2 continues the RPG beat-em-up that the series is known for. Our story takes place literally after the end of the first game, where our high school heroines have now been expelled following the release of the big bad's father that we defeated in the first game. And as per series rules, we're going to have to beat up every single person that gets in our way over the course of our adventure to save the day. If you are completely new to the franchise, this is a beat-em-up that combines RPG elements. As you beat up enemies, you'll collect money and experience. Experience will level you up, and money can be used to buy a variety of food items. The first time you eat a food item, you will gain a permanent stat boost based on that item. Now, one of the things that is definitely standout or improved from the first game, there is a greater sense of diversity in terms of the feel of the various characters. The first game simply had the two main characters, with their boyfriends unlocked as secret characters. Here, the roster has been expanded to 6, the original 4, plus new characters, Marion from the Double Dragon franchise, who's now a brawler, and a new character who kind of occupies the high-speed, fast-attacking but not doing a lot of damage role of Skate from Streets of Rage. So every character occupies or has the same basic controls. You have a light, heavy, and special move, but each one will gain different abilities and additional moves as they level up, including different ways of doing grabs, air launchers, air attacks, and more. And it feels really nice to do the fighting in this game, especially when you start learning more about chaining combos and such together. The game has, I believe, 4-player co-op now with online play. Before, it was just the local remote. Another advantage that this game has in terms of the gameplay is that you now have a little bit more in terms of defensive options. You have your block. You can also, some characters I believe get like a little dodge move. But one of the more amazing additions is that you now have a parry. By hitting the block button at the right time, you will stop the enemy's attack and leave them momentarily stunned, enabling you to do more combos. Enemies will still do that attack on wake up that was present in the first game, but now with the parry you can actually punish it if your timing is good. Other than that, the structure of this game is pretty much one-to-one the same as the first one. You'll go from area to area, region by region of the city, trying to complete quests, get into boss fights, and unlock the next area until you get to the big bad. Once again, the music is fantastic, I'm pretty sure all the big songs in this one will get me a copyright strike as they appear here on this video. But as I said in the stinger, if you enjoyed the first River City Girls, this is a fantastic sequel. But even with that said, I did have some issues with it, and while it has been improved, there are still some of the lingering problems from the first game here, and we're going to talk about that next. But first, we're going to take a quick break, and if you're interested in my thoughts on design, then check out my game design books. For entry-level students, we have 20 Essential Games to Study, and then the Game Design Deep Dive series that takes an extensive look at different genres, with more coming soon. I'm going to let some B-roll play later on in the game while I talk about some of the issues I have with River City Girls 2. The soundtrack is fantastic, the beat-em-up gameplay works, but it feels like I'm all ready to punch and I don't really have anywhere good to go. The level design is definitely the weakest aspect of this game. Like the first one, every kind of zone is made up of individual rooms, but the rooms themselves really just don't have anything going on. In fact, the only times you really have something to do is when you have side quests, but those side quests or the collection aspect only becomes active once you've found the respective one or it unlocks in the game. Otherwise, you're going to be running from room to room, unless you get stuck in an arena fight that occurs usually during the quests. And the quests in this game are some of the most droll I think we've seen out of the genre. To give you a description, here's one of the quest lines from basically like midway through the game. You go from the left hand side of the zone all the way to the right, to then be told you need to go all the way back to the left, to then be told you need to go all the way back to the right, collecting kind of 3 MacGuffins, to then be told you have to go all the way back to the left, to do a minigame, to then go all the way back to the right, to then fight a boss, and that's the entire quest. And there's just no greater interaction or depth. The minigames are fun diversions, but nothing is really, I think, elevating the beat 'em up or the general exploration of the world. And this is one of those times where some of the technical points kind of get in the way. Now, the game, I believe, is set to get an update that may fix some performance issues and FPS, but when I was playing it on PC, every time I would load from one room to the next, it's about 5-second load. Doesn't sound so bad, but when you're crossing rooms in like less than 3 seconds, it just starts to wear on you, especially when you're trying to figure out where you're supposed to go with each quest. The other issue this game has is some of the most frustrating boss fights in the genre. It seems that they've improved the general enemy fights with the abilities to block and parry, but the bosses this time just are some of the most frustrating to deal with. They have a lot of invulnerability phases, they tend to throw lots of just stuff at you, which the controls themselves don't really give you enough fidelity or reaction to be able to quickly get around and avoid them. This becomes a very big point when you get to the Technos boss fight, which that one was definitely almost hair-pulling for me. Now, the footage that you've been watching so far has always been on Nightmare difficulty or the hardest, but while I'm sure that would reduce kind of the aggressiveness or the amount of damage they do, it doesn't excuse the fact that these bosses are just very annoying and time-consuming to fight. The Marion fight caused a lot of people difficulty due to requiring some very precise platforming that the game is just not set up to do. So with everything said, River City Girls 2 is a bigger and better sequel. If you did not like the first game, this is not going to change your mind. But if you're looking for round 2 with the River City Girls, then this is a really great entry. If they do decide to continue the series, I would love to see more, depth to the world exploration, or even to just more on the RPG side of things. Maybe we need like a Yakuza cross River City Girls combo, where the girls can drop kick a Kazuma there. But with that said, that's going to do it for this review. I'd like to thank the developers for giving me a press key to check this out. As always, if you'd like me to play your game in the future, please get in touch. Be sure to check out the Discord and Patreon link down below, and come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games.